is John Rose. I go to Virginia Commonwealth University. I just finished my freshman year there. I study with Rex Richardson. And I'm going to play first movement of the Halsey Stevens Sonata.
If you're wanting to be at least partially a professional performer, there are, let's say, trends and style trends that are acceptable across generations and in different eras. Okay? So, like, if one is, for example, if one is wanting to be an orchestral trumpet player, I'm not going to tell them to listen to Bud because that is not the style that is accepted in auditions now. Likewise, if everything we're being taught kind of is rooted in what we might call symphonic style, large ensemble style, then I would say also that it's not so acceptable to use a. You'll get a lot of pushback about that's not what's done nowadays or those kind of things. So I would just say, as an umbrella statement, be able to do it all. And then choose. And I kind of hear you doing both, and I'm wondering if you're choosing or not, but I'm just going to assume you're choosing. I like it better when there's less. Right now, you're sometimes trending towards the faster notes. And the slower notes, it's more meat right away. I like that better. And maybe if you listen to yourself on a recording, you can make your own choices. When you do tongue, let's talk about a couple schemes. When we have multiple tongues, we are taught as brass players that when we see fours or threes, we're going to double tongue or triple tongue. That's fine, except we have a couple blind spots. When we're playing for non-trumpet players, other musicians, whether it's in concert or whether it's in non-brass musicians or whether it's an audition panel, they don't understand why a flautist or a violinist doesn't understand why we're going from one style of articulation to another one that sounds like dugga-dugga, right? So to mitigate that, if you have, like, there's 5, ba-ga-da-da-da, ba-ga-da-ga-da, you're going da-ga-da-ga-da, now we're going da-ga-ta-ta-ta. Want to try that?
Yeah.
So we go da-ga-da-ga-da once. So that's da-ga-da-ga-da, and here's da-ga-ta-ta-da. See how much more clean it is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Want to try it? That's taka-taka-ta, right?
That was taka-ta-ta-ta.
Okay, so that was taka-ta-ta-ta.
Right.
Taka-ta-ta-ta.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the things I want you to start working on your fundamentals right now, your go-to is ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And it's not going to be useful to you. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, and you have to be able to do it, but it's going to be useful to you, but not as your mainstay, right? In certain situations, you need to use it. Here, it's getting in the way already. It's detracting from the sound. It's versus. And even at that tempo, I would still single tongue.
Yeah, I am single-tonguing everything except for those areas we spoke
And I
to.
noticed.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Do you want people to notice that, or do you want them to notice the line in the sound?
The goal would definitely be the line. I don't want people to be able to pick out my playing and go on either single tongue or
Yes, because it's detracting. It should be invisible
Exactly.
background software. Okay, let's hear the opening again. I think I just spit like a week's worth of Prodigy Melon to my horn. See, that's getting in your way.
Yep.
Yeah, so let's practice it.
So just really.
I want to hear you land exactly okay.
Okay.
You're landing on the top, then in the middle. There it is. And now, but now you're going.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's practice the opening. That's thin and open. Can you go? Remember the exercise we were doing with your colleague? Find your big sound. Better. Yeah. Did you notice at first it was thin as you ascended, right?
Yes.
Okay, one more time. Oh, then rearticulate once you get there. Slur first, and then rearticulate. Oh, do, do, do. Yeah, so the way you're using the tongue is kind of, you're coming, if this is the meat of the note, you're coming in like this, and it sounds like a little flip,
Yep.
right? It's going to sound a little more like, sometimes when we're addressing the tongue, it's good to take the tongue completely out and do an air attack. However, there are different kinds of air attacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're used to this air attack where we kind of sneak in, but how about a hard, fast air attack where the tone is almost immediate? And just find where the center is. I was going up and down and the middle. There it is. That's up. Still up. There it is. Tongue that. Tongue a little more. Yeah. So when you use your tongue, mostly you're using a right? So the two languages that are most friendly to brass articulation for Western classical music, number one, Hungarian, number two, German. For this kind of da, da, da. So often in the United States, you'll hear players that approximate that by what we call anchor tonguing. Then people think anchor tonguing is the holy grail. Anchor tonguing is where you put you speak like that naturally, where your tongue is lodged at the bottom of your bottom teeth, and you say tap, 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 tap with this part of the tongue. You don't necessarily need to do that unless this is the way you speak. Try saying da. So I'm not saying da, say da or ta with me. It's the same part of the tongue, ta, ta, da, da, and a hard da, 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 da. It's the same part of the ta is the ta. Now that's the tip. If we use this part of da, 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 that's it, right? So imagine it's like Ray Mace talks about the tongue is a brush that shapes the air, and we're offloading the responsibility of compression from the tongue. Instead, we're just air attacking. And then
You want me to air attack?
air attacking, yeah, it's just, sorry, I'm using short known each other for decades. Air attack first, and then A, B it. Try to add in the da as your air attack. Faster. 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 There it is. So when I say faster, it means get to the tone faster. Right? Get there faster. There you go. Tongue that. Better. There you go. Yeah. What do you notice now?
It feels completely different.
Yes.
Entirely different.
Well, how's it sound?
It sounds a lot more round. There's no brittleness of it.
Right. So this is not happening. It's going straight into tone, right? So the front of the note, often you'll hear, oh, we want more front. And when we're younger, we just tongue harder. That's a type of more front, meaning more tongue, but that's not necessarily usually what conductors or midis or anyone wants.
Yeah.
They want more tone right away. Otherwise, it starts. You hear what happens to the tone afterwards, right? And then you have to deepen it versus gets there right away. Better. You'll practice the opening. You understand how to do it?
Yes.
Yeah. And it'll feel more solid too because we're not scooping in or from the top or the bottom. We're just getting straight into the sound. Now, one more time. For now, you're going with security effect, right? We'll practice that. So the reason we're doing the long note at the beginning and the long note at the end is those are the two landing points that needed strengthening. Right? So now we're going to go. We're only going to change the speed. Nice. 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 What do you notice now?
It feels a lot more stable.
Yeah, it sounds more stable too,
Yes.
right? So I'm not hearing the scooping in. I'm not hearing the side effect. So what we're trying to do as we're getting more efficient is again offloading the responsibility away from the tongue for compression. Sure, the shape of the vowel is going to have some compression in the back of the K, but if you're doing this, that's an explosive tongue, right? And that's valuable as a color, not a mainstay, and it only gets you in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so then how are we doing? Okay. So what are you noticing about the way I play it? Maybe one or two things.
The articulation isn't getting in the way of the shape, especially with the last couple parts that you just.
How about what am I doing?
I think
What do you notice other than me fixing or not doing?
it just has a lot more direction.
Yeah. Intentional direction. Okay. So this is a leapy piece. We're brass players. We see it. We focus on the leapiness. And what happens? We make it sound leapy. And then we experience that as difficult because, yes, it's difficult to make something sound leapy. It's not difficult to play a leapy piece. It's difficult to make it sound leapy, right? How to get around that? A couple ways. I want you to imagine you're looking at a leapy piece. You're looking at one. I just want you to take your head and put it 90 degrees to the right. Now look at it from this way. As your
Look
head
at
is
it
like this.
Like this?
No, look at my head. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Look at it this way. Right. That's a river going left and right, not up and down. So. So people say forward, but it's not. Forward is never like this. Forward is twists and turns and the speed and the depth. Think about a river. There's there's turbulence, there's rocks, those things, right? So always in tune with nature is music. Okay? That's one way to think about it too. And also just practice everything on a G, F sharp. I hear dance elements. I hear a lot of random changes in articulation, right? Pinching of the tone, even though we're not going into the leapy stuff yet, right?
Yeah.
So, interestingly, when we see leapy stuff and then we conceptualize like a melodic intent around it, usually that melodic intent is limited by our technique, and therefore shaped like our technique. And then we just saw, like, there's no reasoning, it has to be right? And that's limiting. So, and there's nothing wrong with the way you're playing it. I'm just trying to show you shortcuts to get exactly where you want to go. Any questions? Because we're out of time.
I will think of some and certainly reach out.
Great job. Nice. Hi, Austin.
Hello. Hello. My name is Austin. I'm from El Paso, Texas, and I'll be performing Pavon Opus 50 by Forte. And I figure I'd do the beginning chunk, and if there's time to do a little bit at the end, that's okay.
We should be conservative with time because you see what I do. But do play some notes. Did you say how, where you are in school?
So I actually graduated from West Texas A&M in 2001, and I've been teaching education ever since.
Nice. variance in the way you're phrasing, spin towards, spin away. Even your trill was the way I like it. I like to think of trills as butterflies. You know, again, like nature, they take off and then they fly and then they land. And those all, it's not a machine. I'm also hearing a lot of cross phrasing. Where you taught cross phrasing?
I talked about a little bit of micro phrasing.
Yes. Yeah. So cross phrasing is a Jacobs thing. Who did you study with?
So in undergrad, I studied with Bill Takis, and then afterwards, I've been actually taking lessons with Benedict.
Okay, so hello cross phrasing. Yes. Okay, great. How say is, keep in mind as someone with a great ear like yours, spend some physical currency like lipping A's in tune when you could use your slide.
Okay.
Play staccato part.
Okay.
You want to sit instead?
Yeah. Great.
But this time, try not redoing your embouchure in between each
Okay.
one. You're still sneaking it in.
Yeah, it's a tiny bit.
So watch my embouchure. Right, because he was going. So every time, I know we're all trained, take the mouthpiece off your lips so the blood and the lymph can flow and all that stuff. The more efficient you play, the less you have to worry about that, and you're playing really efficiently. And then we have to eradicate those habits that decrease our accuracy. And so it is true that we talked about it with one of your colleagues earlier. First attacks are different than subsequent attacks, right? They're a different technique. We're trying to marry the sound as close to each other as possible, but there is some compression involved in the first attack.
Okay.
But this is not going to take away from your endurance. I would say that it's going to make it better.
Okay.
We're not pressing. It's just, I'm not saying keep it rock solid and just don't
Right.
re-engage with the mouthpiece. Just stay engaged as if it was whole notes.
Okay.
Try again. Good. Now you don't have to be as tentative or careful.
Right.
So usually when we're coming back after a reset, we're kind of careful. So now you can keep the tone a little bigger, and you can step on it, the articulation a little more, but remember it's da, da, da. So instead of this da, da, da. So here's one you were doing.
Right.
Less accurate, and the tone's not as good for me at least. Versus.
Right. Okay.
Try your variation. I like ball bum the best.
Yeah.
The rest of them were very.
Okay.
So think about practicing that.
Okay.
What else do you notice you need? What do you imagine you need assistance with?
Good question. Kind of just, I guess, musical interpretation towards the very end. I'll start right there.
Good. So I would say anytime we have a melody part, and especially when it looks rhythmic, that's not our job, right? So right now you're keeping time. I don't know what's going on in the other part, you know?
It's, I believe it's the main melody of the whole piece.
Okay, let's play it together. Oh, you're gonna go.
Oh, okay.
That's not it.
Right.
Am I in the wrong key?
No, I think it just might be a different spot. I can't remember off the top of my head.
So maybe context.
Right.
Yeah. But looking at it, let's see. like someone's recomposition of it at the end.
It's an arrangement, yes, sir.
Yeah. And so maybe sometimes, with arranging, but there's a difference between transcribing and arranging, right? So transcribing is just adaptation. Arranging is putting in a new context, a new setting and stuff. This particular setting doesn't play itself, does it?
Right.
Yeah. So you have to kind of make it work.
Okay.
Other than that, you sound beautiful.
Thank you.
What do you, what's your magic wand need?
I guess just overall air and attack, especially with nerves too, because like I'm trying my best to like fight the nerves, but also keep the
Don't
air
fight it.
flowing. Yeah.
Don't fight. So, sounds easy to say, but if someone comes at you with a fist, do you block the fist with your chest, or you just step out of the way?
Step out of the way.
Right. So, and then you see, martial arts practitioners that they know not only to step out of the way, but then, sure, I mean, you use that energy against your opponent, right? But that's also just like a transmutation of that energy. It's a reuse of that energy. It's a recycling of that energy. So this is the elusive thing we're all looking for, right? Instead of feeling nervous, can we use that for performance juice, right? And I would say the first thing is let it flow through you.
Okay.
The Buddhists, I think, wear clothes, the monks wear clothes with some sort of symbol on their back, so it reminds them not to resist, just to let forces in opposition flow through them, if that makes sense. Resistance, you're going to put your jaw in the way of a fist. So let's not do that. You can't stop the fist, but you don't have to get injured by it. Right? Same with the nerves. So the more you just surrender to it, maybe appreciate it. The most poisonous plants can be really beautiful to look at. Just don't eat them. You don't have to kill them.
Right.
That's my 20-second cliche advice.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Josh Bergman. I just finished my sophomore year here at Wichita State, and today I'll be playing a bit of the first movement of Kevin McKee's Centennial Horizon.
You want to play some notes?
Thank you.
Okay, so with the dynamics are written from where to where?
Piano, and I think we get up to forte.
Okay, so one category dynamics, what else?
Um, just actual true direction and all the lines.
More obvious direction?
Yeah, more
Okay,
obvious.
what else?
Um, you, looking back on how I played mine, I was definitely kind of tripping over myself and took more time and with the phrasing and made more music because of that. Um, knowing what the ends of phrases, like even where it doesn't say like retardando and stuff.
I'm not sure what you just said.
I'm not either. It was more musical because you made decisions on what you wanted to do.
Some more obvious
Yes.
musical decisions. Yeah. I have about 5 favorite conductors. One of them is Joanne Falletta, and she's my hometown conductor with the Virginia Symphony. And so, because it's my hometown, it took me forever to solo there. Because if you're local, you can't possibly be an expert, right? And then when I finally did, I think we did Artunian, Vivaldi, Bach, and something else. And she says that I've always hated the Artunian until now. And I said, really, it's my favorite? She says, well, you're the first one who's ever made it make sense for me. Organized it in a way that's followable, that there's a melody to it. I know where everything. I'm like, oh, great. And that's like a badge of pride with me. Like, and because I'm a great admirer of her, so any compliment she gives me, I was just. But at the same time, there's a validation of an approach that what we do has to be obvious, even if you're not going to be a soloist or you are, regardless. What we have to do, what we're doing is needs to be obvious and followable, especially to a non-musical audience. Right? So let's think about dynamics. Dynamics don't mean a thing unless there's contrast that's obvious to an audience. And the audience only understands, all they need to understand, was that louder than before, or was that softer than before? And if they don't know, you're not doing your job. These different fancy degradations of mezzo piano and mezzo forte, they don't know what we're talking, and thank God they don't know, because we barely know. We don't make that difference. We kid ourselves, but or are we playing louder or softer? Right? And does the phrase go here or does it go here? And if we're not, and there's 1,000 ways to phrase, they're all correct. They are all correct. Everything you were hinting at is all correct. The issue is you're hinting at it. Some hints are okay, but if you're hinting at everything, then that's not nuance anymore, that's confusion for an audience. Right? So everything you did was great, except we need 100 times more. All right, start with that? Yeah, okay. So now let's talk about phrasing. You are locked in a prison that you might not know about. And this was taught to me by David Federley, who got taught by Donald Jacobs, who was taught by Marcel Tabato, who was the principal oboist of the Philadelphia Orchestra, who had a numbering system for phrasing. This is called cross-phrasing, and your colleague just did it. There you are. And so I'll just show you. So I'm telling you the lineage because when you teach, you must give credit to where you got it from. Please. It was interesting over the pandemic. I had 30 guests into my trumpet studio through Zoom. And one was someone who studied with me for 5 lessons when I was at Peabody. And then they came in and they claimed to have invented this and they were going to patent it. I'm like, I taught you that. And it came from, I told you it came from. So always the lineage is really important because we pass things on. Okay. So Federley, Jacobs, Tabato. That's what I'm showing. Okay. My spin on it, I think about it in just 2 ways. So the premise is modern notation is great for what note and when to play it, and that's it. There's no phrase information. There are no words to this. And worse yet, we're locked into 3/4, and what we've been brought up, and I can hear it in your playing, same kind we see what looks like a downbeat, which is only a rhythmic downbeat here, we give it an unconscious accent. I hear la da 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 dee 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 da da. And so then that gets in our way, and it's anti-phrase. So we're already dealing with a bias of anti-phrase on the piece of paper. So now we have to get ourselves out of that prison. So ways to do it. First of all, be aware of it. If you're aware you're in a prison, like if you're on your phone right now, two of you are, you're in a prison. They're pressing your dopamine buttons and you're paying for it, actual cash. It's a prison, right? So what happens here is if we are aware we're trapped, then we can start doing something. And the second thing is what to do, and it's really simple. It's just 2 secret decoder rings, okay? Usually things are in 3 or they're in 4. Usually we're drawn to 1, 2, 3. So everyone do this with me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're really good at that. Or how about in 4s? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. We're like, oh yeah, we've been doing that all our lives. That's anti-phrase, that's rhythm. It gets in the way of the phrase. Okay? So instead now, imagine that this is a river, this is a water wheel that dips down. So it's not just like this, but it dips down for a little bit of time here, but only at 2. So in 4s. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we know the time is not like this. There's an element almost slightly elliptical to it, right? How about 2, 3, 1? 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Nice. And it's not 2, 3, 1. It's 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, if we just apply that here. Mark above a 2. So often if it's in 3, it's 2, 3, 1. Or if it's in 4, it's 3, 4, 1, or 2, 3, 4, 1, or 4, 1. But almost never 1. Right? So that unlocks 1,000 possibilities. So we're going to go 1, and emphases, not accents. But if you accent, it's okay for now. I'll help you out by going like this, okay? Side benefits of playing in this manner.
It's more interesting for, I think, listener and performer.
And what about technique? What did you notice?
I felt less tired. And
the ever elusive flow.
Felt more connected.
Yeah. Yeah. You look happy all of a sudden. Yeah, people keep this stuff secret, I'm not sure why. But it's a pretty simple secret. And remember, the first secret is realizing you're in jail. Isn't that interesting? Music life. You're in a thought prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
Stuck in the habits.
Worse than that. Taught habits to keep you stuck. So this is another thing about music would wake people up. What does that mean? We bring them into the moment. They're not thinking about what happened yesterday. They're not thinking about what happened tomorrow. They're just here. And they're woken up. But you can't do that unless you do it yourself. And this is as simple as what I just showed you, is it? Because you're not grabbing anything. You're doing it deliberately. Now, oh, now, da, da, dee, now, da, now, dee, now, da, dee. And you're engrossed in the phrase, and you're building it. You're not thinking about what's coming up. You're not thinking what just happened. You're just keep building, keep floating, keep floating. What was your experience while you played? Were you engrossed by it this
It's much
time?
more engaging.
More engaging. What else did you notice if we haven't named it yet?
It was phrasing. It wasn't just notes on a page.
And then, because we're phrasing the crap out of it, it becomes easier to accomplish the technique. What else? What else would you like to address? Okay, we got to move on. Any last thoughts? Or last question?
That first entrance is one of the soft entrances. I know you've gone over a lot of like the side red from the go and not the ton, trying to
Yeah.
force it, especially in the soft entrances. That was the other thing that jumped out.
Okay, so soft entrances, never put yourself at the precipice in a performance. So practicing soft is different than performing soft. Practicing soft, we're always trying to get softer than last time. It's like when you're laying down a jazz album, I've only done 2. Well, they were successful though. But I remember this, like after the second solo, my pianist, musical partner Hector, he said, that was the booth. He says, okay, let's move on. I'm like, I didn't get it. He says, we'll come back to it. Like I didn't get it. He says, no, it's just 45 minutes later I insisted, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse because I was trying to make it better than the solo before. And he says, come in the booth and he says, here's the chart. He says, in the jazz world we do 2 solos and we move on, and 45 minutes later, if you don't, it just gets worse, and 45 minutes later you climbed out of the pit, but it's still not as good as the first 2. Let it go, move on, tangent off, come back, do it again. I'm like, wow, that's the way I talk about sight reading. You do it twice, put it away. Let the brain work on it. Otherwise you start comparing. So if we're playing soft to compare how soft we played last time, that's of no consequence to the audience, and we will miss 50% of the time. Yeah. So as you're building new grounds of softness, don't go to the very last one you built in a performance. Come back twice on solid ground. Not here. Right? Does that sound solid? And then it's also okay sometimes to put a little top on it versus missing. So what you notice something like that with the first note.
It was present, but it wasn't loud at all.
Right. Did you notice the type of articulation? It was a t.
Done.
And down. Do this with your hand. Down, down, down. So that whole part of your tongue here, not this, but here. Now lift it to your roof of your mouth. Da, 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 da. Right. Yeah, it's a wide da. It's not a da. Da, da. So you practice it. So first attacks are a different technique. That's all it's doing. Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
sure people get to their large ensembles and chamber ensembles, and then we'll just let this kind of work over because I'm Charlie's coach anyway in the ensemble. So at 2:57, otherwise Dr. Shea will disown me. So I want to make sure that you all get to your ensemble. Okay.
Okay, place some notes, get comfortable, and we start. Comfortable? You're choosing to sit or stand, it's up to you. Very nice. Want to work on that part or you want to keep going?
Let's work on that part.
You want to do the same thing we did before where I play a little bit? Does that work for your learning style?
Yeah.
What do you notice?
You gave a lot of weight to certain notes, especially at the tops of phrases, and then towards the end of
Where?
phrases, like specifically at the top end, and then especially
This
at the
one,
first
yes.
notes.
Yeah. This was is a different kind of weight than this one. Like how so?
This was more of a length and like anchor point weight, while this was
Yeah,
specifically
right. So
representing-
right. So weight can be like this, or it can be like this, or it can be kind of dragged. Right. What else?
You also ended like a lot of phrases with kind of lifts, where instead of like just da,
Some
just like
variance
da,
and ending. Yeah. Just like when you speak.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you also made sure that, especially in this passage, I struggle with finding a breath, that you just like were very clear with, I'm breathing here, and then I'm getting my best sound right when I come back in.
Great. I need nice observations. I need a book with words. Can be a textbook, can be a something. Just not a diary with your secrets. That would be interesting, I think. Okay. Okay, here's the foreword. I want you to read the foreword. You've never seen this book? Okay, you can put your trumpet on your lap. Read the foreword in your best Shakespeare style. I want you to be big and theatrical.
Playing the tuba in the symphonic orchestra requires many skills. Every composer has a unique concept of the tuba's sound and character.
Great. So you're doing well so far. You're breathing without thinking about it. You're pronouncing all the words correctly. There's a rhythm, there's a cadence to it. How about going farther? Playing the tuba in a symphonic orchestra requires many skills. Every composer has a unique concept of the tuba's sound and character. For the many different compositional styles, along with various technical requirements, tubists are required to produce quality sound, tone color, and blend. Keep going. How about where I left off so you're not counting?
This book presents the more difficult excerpts from 100 of the major works in the orchestral literature.
What book?
This book.
Okay. Now we're talking emphases, right? So choose an emphasis, go with it. Or this what?
Book.
This book. Or this book, but not this book. This book or this book. Choose one.
This book presents the more difficult excerpts from 100 of the major works.
What excerpts?
The more difficult.
Okay.
This book presents the more difficult. This book presents the more difficult excerpts from 100 of the major works in the orchestral literature.
What literature?
Orchestral literature.
100 of the works, more difficult works in the orchestral literature, or the orchestral literature, right? So these things you do naturally. I'm putting you on the spot, but can you overdo it so we can move on to music?
This book presents the more difficult excerpts from 100 of the major works in the orchestral literature. Presents these passages in clear notation, includes instructions for their preparation, and offers interpretations of these important
So
passages.
listen to that cadence. Now you didn't have to plan anything, right? So you've been reading all your lives, whether it's this or this. Right? So you have your own natural way of speaking, your own natural cadences, your own natural breath points, your own natural emphases. Use them. Make them obvious. Make them obvious. Make them obvious. Right? Make sense? Yes. Yeah. Keep going. Nobody. You said what?
Just
There was more of it? More easy. So, then you're gonna have to gun away kind of without breathing, but I would say, so when we don't breathe and we kind of get away with it, then we're taking endurance out of the bank that we might want to use later, whether it's in this piece or half an hour or an hour later. So, I think it's okay to breathe a little bit. I think that's an obvious press point. You said struggling, but I would say kind of you're in search of where to breathe. And I would also, let's keep going, because I think the more you play in this manner, then the breaths will make more sense or even feel like they're presenting themselves. Why don't you head me towards what you need assistance with? What do you really like? What's driving you nuts here?
well for the longest time, and in that last round, I was preparing. Same vowel combination slurs. So like the D to F and the E to G specifically.
Okay. Copy. It's a skill. It's an accomplishment. Remember how I started a couple hours ago? Okay. So here, when I would say, oh wow, you know, you play. I love how you're going smooth. Oh, smooth, smooth. Demarcated. It's almost accented. And also, I noticed that the upper note is shallower than the lower note. I like that. How'd you do that?
I think I used more pressure.
Show me. Figure out how you do it first. Yeah, I really like that little bump in between the, I'm not being making fun of you. Between the D and the F, how'd you do that?
I didn't change composition or airspeed between.
You're describing something you didn't do. I want to know how you did it.
I changed tongue position and airspeed at not the same time or not.
See, I think you're guessing.
Yes.
I think I'm paying you $100 for this lesson. You better know how to do it. Do it again. Figure it out. Take ownership. There's a great little bump in there. How'd you do it?
I'm not.
I can't take the lesson on that one. You're gonna have to do it.
I'm moving my lips.
Are you guessing still?
I'm thinking through it. I'm moving my lips like through the partial in between instead of like riding the slide up. It's just like I'm trying to jump up in one go.
Is that what someone told you, or you? Because we always have to look for our own vernacular and describe it. Right? It's probably something you haven't tried to do it on purpose a bunch of times to figure out how to do it. So let's give you some context now. Let's do an alternate fingering instead. Okay, now the other way, where you have the bump. Great, now there's two radically different techniques. Now can you describe better now how you did that one?
The second one.
Just the one with the bump. Okay, let's go back and forth. So I want you to A-B it. Not A-B it yet. Let's try a different A-B. I want you to do the one with the valve, and then I want you to make the other one sound the same. That has a bump. How'd you do it?
I think my ear isn't quick enough between the notes.
I think you're grabbing at stuff people told you. I want you to just tell me what's happening inside the mouth.
Still a lot of this.
Some of that, I see some of that. What's happening with your tongue? And where in your tongue?
I'm not trying to. My tongue's coming back and up.
And cutting it off for a second. So this time on, bring it down. Now you're going to have to huff though. Watch. I want you to do this. Air attack. interrupting the flow between the F and the D. We're squeezing to get it there. Versus we need to flow across into the D. And it's a different partial, yes, but we can get there this way. That's the last part. Watch. You go back and forth, finger on the side, make it sound the same. You're gonna, for the one that's technically a lip slur, you're gonna have to do a lot of flow in between, which is not like yes. Better. Can you now make that flow instead of being all at once? It's gonna have to get in there gradually so we don't hear the bump. So we're still here. Again. Forward. So this is something you're going to have to undo in the practice room. The technique is there. What I want you to really focus on is this. Then, and what that does is gets the air here, not but right? One more time. Hitting it high. That's it. That's it. Now slur it. That's the other one you go. I'm actually going to slur it in the technique that you showed me. You understand the difference? Yes. You hear the grit in between? So the trumpet works in the way you're experiencing this. There's a bump there. So you have to manufacture the illusion that there's not a bump. And that's what I'm showing you. Right here? And then we're going to move on. Is that it? That was the lip slur. I didn't even look, but I don't think you used all. Okay, good. That was super smooth though. focus on,
Yeah.
right? It's just manufacturing the tone in between there, keeping the air forward, knowing how to do the other one, but also maybe not using it anymore. Okay, it's not so far away, I promise. Okay, great job.
Nice job.